Talk about a crusher. Yes! Oh!
Are you kidding me?
And gone!
Welcome back to Schoolyard Sports Podcast. On this podcast, Lane Frank, we're now at episode 216. So we're 216 episodes through, and I got an action-packed episode planned for you. The NBA conference finals are underway. OKC's a 3-1 series lead on Minnesota, and Indiana has a 3-1 lead on New York. In the MLB, we're entering the summer months where it's starting to heat up, the bats and the pitchers on the diamond. We're going to talk a little bit about tennis here, the French Open underway, see who wins it, see who struggles a little bit, and so much more in this action-packed episode 216. Let's hop into it. Let's start off episode 216, how we always do, with our headlines and the NBA. I want to talk about the Thunder series first in the NBA, because that series has been dominant every game except for Game 4. Now, OKC started out with a bang in the first two games, killing the Minnesota Timberwolves, and both them, Julius Randle ended up getting benched in Game 2, comes back in Game 3, ends up winning by 40. Minnesota, Anthony Edwards played great, Julius Randle played great. Then you go over to Game 4, it's like Anthony Edwards doesn't take that many shots. He only has 16 points. Julius Randle doesn't even get to 10 points, I don't think. Chris Finch didn't develop a good game plan for Game 4, Minnesota Timberwolves head coach. Because what worked in Game 3 was you're seeing Anthony Edwards shooting over three guys and making the ball because he has enough shots at that point in the game to make that shot. If Anthony Edwards can get shots up, if you can double team Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the Thunder aren't so hard to beat. I said last week they had no other All-Stars. They actually have one, Jalen Williams, who was an All-Star this season and did play great in Game 4. But if you can take that risk, where yes, Jalen Williams might be open a little bit more, where yes, the holes for Chet Holmgren, Lujan Stort might open up a little bit. If you can really knock down that double team with SGA, and I'm no NBA coach, and get more shots for Anthony Edwards, it'll work out better for you. But 3-1, going back to Oklahoma City is no cookie for Minnesota right there. Now, let's switch things over to New York versus Indiana. My Knicks go down 2-0 immediately. Terrible. That Game 1 was terrible, the first finish. I went to Game 2, saw everything that happened, and I saw how coordinated this Indiana Pacers team was. They came out as the better team. The Knicks lack a guy on the court who can just drive to the hoop and score at will when Jalen Brunson is not there. When Jalen Brunson is not on the court, the Knicks don't have a guy who you can say he's going to score right here. When Jalen Brunson is not on the court, you can't say, oh, the Knicks are definitely scoring in this possession. No, you can't say it. Maybe Karl-Anthony Towns can pull a three. Maybe Mikal Bridges can make a fadeaway shot. Maybe Josh Hart can get a rebound and make a shot. Maybe Landry Shamet's going to make a three out of nowhere. But there's really no superstar outside of Jalen Brunson. Now, I like Karl-Anthony Towns. I do. But I think what the Knicks are missing is a Giannis Antetokounmpo type of guy. Now, I know it's middle of the series, so let's not get crazy. Let's not talk about this right now to where, next week Knicks win the series and Karl-Anthony Towns is the hero of New York because he played great in Game 3. But the Knicks lack a guy who's going to get to the rack and score. Tyrese Haliburton does that all day for Indiana, and Pascal Siakam does it for them too. Jalen Brunson does it for New York. Karl-Anthony Towns does it in a way, doesn't do it all the time, and isn't great in the defensive side of the ball. That's my take in the Knicks-Pacers series, and why the Pacers are up 3-1 right now on the New York Knicks. That's about it right there for the conference finals in the NBA. Now, a little more things in the NBA. The NBA draft combine is over, and the draft decision deadline was Wednesday night. Yes, a few players dropped out, including Yaxel Lendenborg, who's going to be heading over to my Michigan Wolverines, Boogie Fland, who's going to flip from Arkansas to Florida, transfer from there after initially entering the NBA draft. Now he'll go over to Florida, join the reigning national champions with Xavier Lee. Alex Condon, center from Florida this year, from Australia. He'll be coming back to Florida. A few other guys coming back. Milos Uzon coming back. A guy who isn't coming back, Cedric Coward, committed to Duke from Washington State. He'll stay in the NBA draft, but NIL, helping out these guys come back to college. You like to see it. Maybe the NFL should have a thing like this where guys can test the draft waters, see if they want to go back to college, and then they'll be back right in time for spring ball after the combine. Just a thought right there. Now, in the MLB, Juan Soto, who I talked about last week, was struggling. And yes, he's still struggling. But Mets are playing better baseball. They aren't losing. They beat the Dodgers in the 3-game series. They're beating the White Sox right now. I know the offense isn't incredible, but the pitching right now is stellar for the New York Mets, and that's what we like to see, even with the struggles from Juan Soto. Shohei Ohtani, playing like the best player in baseball. Well, maybe because he is. Most home runs in the MLB, and he's getting back on the diamond to start pitching everybody. Back-to-back games of the leadoff home run, back-to-back games of the home run. You can't contain this guy. Ronald Acuna Jr., back-to-back games of the home run in his return. His second pitch back from baseball, might even be his first pitch back, hitting a blasting home run out to left field in Truist Park. What a shot that was for Ronald Acuna Jr. Getting back to that Atlanta Braves, we've got an MVP and Ronald Acuna Jr. and MVP and Shohei Ohtani tearing it up on the baseball field right now. That's about for the headlines this week. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, take of the week. This week's Take of the Week, let's talk a little college football, where I think the College Football Playoff Selection Committee got it right, and the leaders of college football got it right for once on what this new playoff format is going to look like. We all know the playoff this year looked a little bit wacky. You had Arizona State getting a bye with 2 losses when it looked like they would have no season at all at midpoint in October, where Boise State got a bye when obviously they weren't a top 4 team in the country. It looked wacky, and it needed to be wacky. In the first year of the college football playoff, we saw a disaster situation happen, where 3-loss Clemson got in, where those buys Arizona State and Boise State happened, to where college football world had to say, we need to change our seeding system. And they did, right away. Now we're going to be able to seed a Notre Dame team, get a top 4 seed, and get a bye. The new thing is, it's going to be seeding primarily based on what the committee thinks of you, your ranking. Not matter if it's, you won this conference, so you're going to get this seed. Now, there's still auto bids out there, which I like, but what I didn't like was putting teams top 4 conference champions in those slots. I think if Georgia is the number 1 team in the country and they beat the number 2 team in the country, Texas shouldn't have to drop from 2 to 5. Texas should still be in that top 4. That's, of course, a situation that we saw this year in the college ball playoff, where Texas and Georgia actually had to both play on-site games in the college ball playoff. A little bit interesting right there. So that's my thought right there on the college football playoff last year, what they got wrong. Now, what they got right this year was, of course, the new seeding, where it's just going to be 1 through 12, who are the 12 best teams in the college football playoff, who are the 12 best teams in the country, put them in right there. That's how it's going to be. One last thing right here. They might mess it up in the future. Thinking about switching to 14 teams, 16 teams after this year is definitely happening, according to Brett McMurphy. I don't like that idea. I think you should keep it at 12. I wasn't a big fan of moving it from 4 to 12, maybe because I'm a Michigan Wolverines fan, and for years I was begging for them to expand the playoff, but then Michigan started making it 3 years in a row, and I said, you can keep it at 4. I like the exclusive club. But no, they're bringing it back to 12. They're bringing it to 12, bringing it up to 14, 16 maybe in the future. We're going to have to wait and see on that one. I say keep it at 12 for now, but for right now, the College Football Playoff Committee did get it right with this new seeding system. That's about for Take of the Week this week. Now, top 5. This week's top 5 is the top 5 pitchers in Major League Baseball. Let's hop into it. I got 2 honorable mentions for you. The first one, Jacob deGrom. Now, I grew up on deGrom being the greatest athlete, what I thought of all time, the most dominating athlete ever, where he had a .6 ERA through May in 2021, where he was just one of the greatest pitchers of all time when he was healthy. Now, deGrom nowadays, he doesn't strike out as many people. He actually has his first start without a strikeout in his whole entire career. He still got the win. He's a 2.4 ERA, and he's on fire for the Texas Rangers. He's an honorable mention in there. Another one, and I think people might not like this one, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. You might think he should be higher. You might think he should be lower. He has a great ERA, and if we're going off just this season, he's probably in the top 3. But we haven't seen a huge sample size from him, so let's go with Yoshinobu Yamamoto right now as an honorable mention at the number 6 spot. Now, the real top 5, let's hop into it. Who is the 5th best pitcher in baseball? I'm going to go with Zach Wheeler, a guy who was a Cy Young winner, an ace to the Phillies, and consistently dominant. You're never going to see a Zach Wheeler implosion where he gives up 10 runs in a playoff game. You're never going to see Zach Wheeler have a terrible season in there. He's going to be steady every year. 5, Zach Wheeler. 4, Kodai Senga. Kind of go with Yamamoto, and you might get mad at me saying, well, there's only one more year of sample size from Senga to Yamamoto. I think Senga's more consistent. That might be me as a Mets fan talking, but Senga, great ERA this season. He's on fire. One of the best pitchers in baseball, if not the best in the NL. Kodai Senga, number 4. Number 3, the best pitcher in baseball this season is Max Fried, and Max Fried is at number 3 right now. 7-0, no losses, about 7 quality starts for him. He's on fire for the New York Yankees, and a low ERA too in the ones. He's pitching great for New York. The best signing of the offseason might just be Max Fried when it's all said and done. 3, Max Fried, the Yankees ace. 2, Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is in a horrible place called Pittsburgh, but he might get out of there soon. But in his 34 career starts, he's only given up 47 runs. Paul Skeens, that's all you need to say right there. He's a star. He's an internet star. He's a sensation, and he's going to take over baseball. 2, Paul Skeens. 1, Tarek Skubal. This guy's on fire. You watch his complete game the other day? Whew. One of the best complete games of all time. A complete game shutout in under 100 pitches in the last pitch of the game, 103-mile-an-hour fastball. Also had 13 strikeouts in that game. We're going to have a Did You Know coming up next about Tarek Skubal in that complete game. One of the greatest of all time. But that's about for the top 5 pitchers in baseball. If there's guys you think shouldn't be on this list, or guys you think you should be on this list, leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, did you know? This week's Did You Know is, did you know Tigers ace Tarek Skubal on his complete game on Sunday? His last pitch of the game was 103 miles an hour, the fastest pitch ever in the 9th inning by a starter. For a starter to go into the 9th inning is incredible. For them to throw 103 miles an hour on their last pitch of the game is even better. And that's an MLB record from Tarek Skubal. Did you know that? Leave that in the comments. That's about for Did You Know this week. So about a year ago, I was doing Schoolyard Sports college basketball hot takes where I said the top 5 players in college basketball. Probably looked a little bit like Zach Edey, maybe get a few other guys in there on that list. DJ Burns might have been on that list. Maybe we had a UConn guy like Donovan Clingan on the list. You know who wasn't on that list? PJ Haggerty. And PJ Haggerty's mom actually had a comment and saying, why is PJ Haggerty not on this? Now, me, I didn't know who PJ Haggerty was, a guard from Tulsa. Little did I know, he'd become the leading scorer in the country the next season on Memphis and be the greediest athlete of all time. Yeah, Nico Emeliva, you're off the hook because PJ Haggerty is the greediest college athlete I've ever seen. Probably didn't expect for me to go in on him like that, but I'm going to. This guy requested $4 million to leave a great situation in Memphis. Now, Penny Hardaway is the GOAT of paying players illegally. Now, when you start talking big bucks, he can't do it anymore with the $4 million, but nobody can. And PJ Haggerty had to settle for $2.5 million at Kansas State. Name me one other player in Kansas State. You can't. I can't. Jerome Tang, he's a fine coach. He made the Elite Eight in 2023. But there's no continuity on his teams because all he cares about is NIL. There's no real good recruiter for his staff. There's no real good other solid players on this team. Because PJ Haggerty is the definition of the problem in college basketball. And problem with Kansas State. All they want to do is throw NIL at guys. And it might work sometimes. They get guys like Ernest Udo. Good for them for a few years. But it didn't pan out in the end. PJ Haggerty. He's going to go over to Kansas State and isn't going to pan out. You're leaving a great situation where you were the leading scorer in the country, where you choked an NCAA tournament game. You came in with these demands for $4 million to play point guard. You were either going to go back to Memphis, go to Texas, go to North Carolina State. The Dukes didn't want you. The Kentuckys didn't want you. The Kansases didn't want you. The UCLAs didn't want you. Gonzaga didn't want you. None of the Blue Bloods want you. Why? You're the highest scoring player in the country. Because you're greedy. And that's my thought right there. That's my spotlight on PJ Haggerty. He's greedy, and that's why he's going to Kansas State for $2.5 million. See you guys come back to college basketball for a decent amount of money. Boogie Fland going to Florida. Yaxel Lendenberg going to Michigan. Alex Condon going back to Florida. Milo Suzan going back to Houston. Pop Isaacs transferring to Texas A&M. These guys aren't getting $2.5 million. They're getting a good contract to play college basketball and be a star for another year. PJ Haggerty, I don't see NBA in your future, and I don't think the NBA sees it either. That's about from my take on PJ Haggerty and the spotlight for this week. Baseball is back, everybody, and I'm not just talking about back in season. It is back in the ratings, and it is better than ever. And that's why we're going to round the bases right here and around the bases, everybody. We're going to go through the biggest things in baseball right now that are contributing to its skyrocketing success this season in the ratings. Let's talk about baseball being better than ever. Ronald Acuna Jr. is back. Now, he's been back for less than a week, but to have another MVP on the field in baseball, it's just great marketing. It's great for baseball to see a superstar do the John Morant celebration. He might be a few months late to it, but it gives ratings to baseball. Ronald Acuna Jr. helping out baseball right there by being back. Shohei Ohtani, he's bringing baseball back because, yes, he's one of the best pitchers in the world, but he's also the best hitter in the world. He's bringing baseball back. That's in right there. Aaron Judge, we got a guy batting 400 right here, pretty much on fire right now. Now, in my lifetime, I've never seen somebody bat 400 at this point in the season by playing every game. Aaron Judge is doing that right now. For someone who said that he wasn't consistent early on in his career, for a guy who struck out in like 50 straight games his rookie season, to now being the most consistent hitter in baseball, maybe with Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, that kind of guy right there. He's on fire, and so are the MLB ratings. Aaron Judge, a big part of that. Now, stars in the big markets, we're seeing it. Juan Soto in New York. Fernando Tatis Jr. in San Diego. A few other guys, Shohei Ohtani in LA, Freddie Freeman in LA, Mookie Betts in LA, Rafael Devers in Boston, The main superstars in MLB are in big markets. And for the guys that aren't, well, we're maybe bringing back the old days of baseball where it's like, hey, this guy could go to the Yankees. This guy could go to LA. This guy could go to the Mets. What I'm talking about is Paul Skeens, maybe go over to the Yankees. And it doesn't seem too far-fledged out there. Because when you think about it, back in the olden days, when these superstars were on the market, they weren't playing for these random teams. They went over to the big markets. I'm not talking 2000s. I'm talking about maybe 1900s in there. But we still used to see it. Now we're bringing that back to baseball. Where Paul Skeens, why would he want to waste his career in Pittsburgh? Where, like I said, 34 career starts, 47 career runs, but he doesn't have that many wins. Why wouldn't he want to go win in a market like New York? Max Fried, it's working out for him greatly in New York after leaving Atlanta. Tarek Skubal in Detroit. I know Detroit's one of the best teams in baseball right now, but what about if he comes over to a team like New York, gets a mega deal as a pitcher? Those guys could potentially be moving on from their teams. But like I said, opening day ratings were up for the MLB. We got the broadcast being great. I like the Apple TV broadcast. I was critical of it a few years ago. I like it now. I like seeing the Luis Angel Acuna RBI probability go down after he takes a ball in his at-bat. I think it's fun to see those things. I think it's great for baseball, getting these interesting broadcasts. The announcers are great. The Fox broadcast is great. Sunday Night Baseball, you get these guys mic'd up. They love it too because they get paid $10,000 to be mic'd up. Might be a little distracting for the players. Okay, Karen, if you're saying that right there. That's about for Around the Bases this week, where we go through the stars of MLB and how baseball is back and better than ever. Now, I'm going to be blatantly honest right here. I'm recording this episode right after the Knicks game before the Oklahoma City Thunder elimination, where they can eliminate Minnesota Timberwolves to go to the NBA Finals. Anthony Edwards, that would end his season. And a lot of people are saying, well, Ant, he's so young. It's this, he's still got opportunities. I'm here to give the scream on Anthony Edwards, the Schoolyard Sports scream on Anthony Edwards, because I think Ant-Man's reached his prime, and this is his max potential, a conference finals appearance. He's made it further in his career than SGA had up until this season. Ant made the conference finals last year. SGA didn't. Ant's been here before. SGA hasn't. So what's the excuse now, Ant? Because yes, you don't have home court advantage, but you can be that superstar. You can win those games in Minnesota, and you can win this series. But now, Anthony Edwards has caved in, didn't take enough shots last game, blamed his teammates, and I like Anthony Edwards, but I've been critical of him in the past, especially like a few years ago when Joel Embiid won an MVP, and Ant said, hey, I'm up next. That was 3 years ago, Ant. When are you up next? When are we going to see an MVP? When are we going to see you develop into this next superstar? Because I think you've reached your max potential. I don't see a Kobe Bryant type of career. I don't see a Dwayne Wade type of career. I see a Hall of Very Good type of career of Anthony Edwards. Now, maybe one day he finds himself in that Hall of Fame. Maybe he's an all-star every year. But I don't see championships in Anthony Edwards' future. That might be the harsh truth. But I don't see 30 points a game. I don't see a James Harden type of career of Anthony Edwards where he's going to have a season where he drops 40 straight points every night, it seems like. That's what James Harden did, averaging 40 in the 2017 season. I don't see that for Anthony Edwards. What I see out of Ant-Man is we've seen his prime. We're in his prime. Even though he's young, this is the best Anthony Edwards we're going to get. It's harsh. And, go off on me if he does win this series. If they do win that elimination game, they do bring it back to Minnesota, they do get to a Game 7, and he gets it done. It's a lot of dues, and I don't think any of them are going to happen. Don't do it for Anthony Edwards. I don't think Anthony Edwards is going to win championships in his career. It's harsh. I may change this opinion one day, but we've seen Ant-Man in his prime, and I'll stand by this. This is Anthony Edwards' prime. It's great. He's a good player, but he's not a championship winner. That's about for my scream this week on Anthony Edwards, how he has reached his prime. You may not like this one. I may not like this one, but it needs to be said. The New York Knicks have used up all their luck. Now, if you watch this show the past 5 years, I'm a diehard Knicks fan. I'm sure some of the listeners and viewers are too. We got producer Jordan behind the screen yelling at me for doing this segment right now. Probably gonna have other people yelling at me for doing this segment. As a Knicks fan, I think it needs to be heard. This is my opinion. I waited to record this episode until after Game 4, where I thought the Knicks could tie it up at 2-2. I was at Game 2. They didn't get it done. I saw Game 3. I thought the Knicks had a chance to win Game 4, tied up 2-2. Boom, we're going to take off, and we're going to win this series. But after going down 3-1, I'm going to make a claim right here. There is no chance the New York Knicks win this series. I don't see it. There is no chance they win this series. They've used up their luck. They're not getting it done. Now, clip me, do whatever you want. I hope the Knicks win this series, but I see zero possibility of that happening. I don't even know if they'll win Game 5 in New York, If you win Game 5 in New York, I don't think you win Game 6 in Indiana. If you win Game 6 in Indiana, it's going to be tough to win Game 7 in New York. You know how I know that? Because we saw it last season and we didn't get done. Don't give me the, oh, Josh Hart was hurt excuse. Don't give me the Brunson broke his hand in the fourth quarter excuse. They were down 20, okay? I don't see the Knicks winning this series. It's been a great ride for Tom Thibodeau and the New York Knicks, and I'm not putting it in coffin yet because the Knicks were very bad in 2020 and they had a terrible roster, but they still made the playoffs in 2021 with Julius Randle, Reggie Bullock, Alec Burks, Derrick Rose, Nerlens Noel, one of my favorite Knicks teams of all time, even though they didn't win a playoff series, but they made the playoffs. Then the next year, they didn't get done. But then they brought in Jalen Brunson, and he lost to the Heat in the second round, his first year, and he lost to the Pacers in the second round, his third year. Now we're talking about this year for Tom Thibodeau. Will you get it done? And I say no. I don't know if it's time to move on from Tom Thibodeau. Like I said, don't throw a nail in the coffin yet after the season. But from what I've seen from the New York Knicks is something must change. And I don't see them winning this series. Claiming it right here, New York Knicks do not win this series, and Indiana will go on to the NBA Finals, who I think they'll play, the Oklahoma State Thunder. But if the New York Knicks, this season is over. And that's about for At the Buzzer this week. Now, the best for last question of the day. This week's question of the day is on the tennis courts, everybody. Should Roland Garros, the French Open, switch to automatic line calling next season? That's a big topic. Clay courts usually don't have automatic line calling. It's the last Grand Slam without automatic line calling. We see in Wimbledon, we see in the US Open, and Australian Open. There's no discrepancy, there's no mistakes, there's no nothing to be thought about here. There's no challenges on if the ball was in, if it was out, if it was a let, or if it wasn't. Should the French Open switch that? There's been some moments in the past where it really has cost players in the French Open. Last year, Alexander Zverev in a fifth set didn't call a ball out, even though it basically was out. The judge didn't call it out, fully out in my opinion, and a lot of people saw it out. You can see it, check it, it was out. Automatic line calling system would have called it out. Maybe Zverev could have won the match if that serve was called out on a crucial serve right there for cross out grass. But a few other things in the French Open, clay, it might be harder to see the ball. I don't know. But it'd be interesting to see automatic line calling system on clay that would completely eliminate judges out of the system. You'll still have the chair umpire, but you won't have the line judges making any mistakes right there. Let's see how that works out for the sport. But that's about for my question this week. Should the French Open switch over to automatic line calling like the other three Grand Slams to have no mistakes? It'd be fun to see mistakes in sports sometimes, but not when it costs your favorite player, your favorite team. That's about for question this week. That's about for Schoolyard Sports with Lane Frank, episode 216. Thank you for tuning in. Follow Schoolyard Sports on Instagram at Schoolyard Sport. Follow Schoolyard Sports on X at Schoolyard Sport. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review for the best sports content in the world. Be back next week. Episode 217. Stay tuned.